So what do they say the definition of insanity is? When you do things over and over and over again and you expect different results, well, that's what we can call the Detroit bullpen now insanity. We've been calling them a gas can, and justifiably so, but now we can call them insanity, especially after what happened again yesterday in Pittsburgh. Hey, everybody, Captain Lou here with another edition of Tigers Daily in partnership with the Fan Arch Network. A couple of reminders for those of you that are checking us out for the first time. I say welcome. We invite you to subscribe and be a part of the Tigers Daily family. We talk all things Tigers, the good, the bad, and everything in between. What's going on and off the diamond, the game from the day before. We take a look at what's in store for the Tigers. For those of you that have subscribed, I say thank you very much. Again, the response has been just absolutely phenomenal. The viewership off the charts, and it's because you and I, we're one of the most passionate fan bases, win or lose, in all of professional sports, let alone Major League Baseball. And for that, I say thank you. And also, we want to welcome aboard our brand new partner to Tigers Daily, and that's Kalshi, Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use the promo code FanArchBaseball, and you'll get $10 back when you trade your first $10. Baseball season's in the stretch run, and you can trade every game on Kalshi. Okay, how's everybody doing today? That game yesterday was just the epitome of what's gone on with the Tigers season. Insanity, gas can, call our bullpen, whatever you want. Kenley Jansen gives up 2 home runs in the bottom of the ninth. And you know what? I'm going to place a lot of the blame on him. But as a matter of fact, I'm going to place more blame on A.J. Hinch. Here's my first complaint. So Joe pitched pretty good. He obviously didn't pitch lights out like he did in his opening game back from Tommy John surgery. But he pitched okay. They pulled him. I get it. Bottom or top of the 6th, whatever. They put Holton in. I listened to A.J. Hinch extol his virtues all year, telling me that he expects every relief pitcher to be able to go 2 innings. Why didn't he let Holton go 2 innings? I mean, they had a day off. Today's a day off, a travel day. Don't give me the excuse that he was taxed. I don't want to hear it. He could have went 2 innings. I hear that all the time. So they put Waguespack in there. All right, he's been pitching decently. I get it. He gives up the bomb on a cutter. Flores, his first pinch hit home run. I mean, he absolutely crushed it. I get it. Fast forward to the first we get Finnegan in, who, next we get Drew Summers. Now, I'm starting to trust him a little bit more. He's a young arm. He's getting used to everything at the major league level. He pitches 1/10 of an inning. Now, I had to refresh myself in the rule with Major League Baseball as far as facing 3 hitters. If you end an inning with a reliever, he doesn't have to come out. He can pitch just to 1 batter. Well, that's what A.J. Hinch had him do. Then he brought in the first of our 2 major gas cans, and that's Kyle Finnegan. He labored through that inning, through the 8th inning, got us out of it. I'm thinking, all right, cool. Then here comes Kenley Jansen. And what does he do? Here's the thing that really, really irked me. It really pissed me off. I'm going to be quite honest with you. 0-2. Flores at the bat. He's got 2 strikes on him. He's got a pitch or 2 to waste on him. He's sitting back waiting for that cutter. And what does he do? Does he throw him a sinker? No. He throws him a cutter, and he absolutely destroys it. All of a sudden, we got a tie game. Who do you blame that on? Who's calling these pitches? Is it Dingler? Is it Gaddis? Is it Hinch? I'm putting the blame squarely on Hinch on this one. And then a couple of batters later, again with Lowe up to bat, throws him that cutter right over the plate. And there was a no-doubter lengthwise. The only thing we were doubting is if it was going to be fair or foul. They hit the foul pole, and that was it. Now, I know we've had some gut-wrenching losses this year with the Tigers. That Baltimore game where they blew that 7-0 lead, Scooble's last start for the Tigers, that was tough. And I know it's recency bias, but this loss right here really, really hurts. This one might be one of the most difficult ones to swallow of all the losses here in 2026. This is the 19th game the Tigers have lost when they've had a lead in the 7th inning. That is absolutely unacceptable. You win half of those games, not only are you in wild card position, you're right there in the divisional race. You might be a half game out, whatever. That, to me, that falls squarely on Harris and A.J. Hinch, especially A.J. Hinch. He overthinks it sometimes. Again, I go back to listening to A.J. Hinch tell us that all of his relievers can go 2 innings, and he only lets Holton go, 2/3 of an inning? That's it. He could have went 2 innings. I know it's armchair quarterbacking, I get it. But this loss yesterday, to me, goes squarely on A.J. Hinch. Also Kenley Jansen. He's done. He's not coming back next year. He's obviously not the spark. I mean, he is so inconsistent. So inconsistent. 4 blown saves. I heard that and I thought, how does he not have more? Oh, it's just frustrating. I get more and more frustrated the more I think about it, the more I talk about it. But you take the good with the bad, right? And this is bad. Now, I look at Kevin McGonigal, had a great game yesterday. Max Clark, a couple of more hits. We've got a good young core here in Detroit. We really do. The future does look bright. I'm going to say it. It looks bright. I think that we've got an opportunity in the next couple of years to be decent still. And I still believe that we should have ultimately made those trades. But with that being said, this still is an opportunity that the Tigers have to at least sneak into the playoffs, to give these young guys some experience in the postseason. But when you have a coaching staff, a managerial staff that continues to just bumble it, whatever you want to call it, that's what really pisses me off, frustrates me to no end. And that game yesterday frustrated me to no end. That, to me, that is the toughest pill to swallow to me as a Tigers fan, was watching that loss yesterday. We could talk about all the numbers, and let's talk about them, all right? The Tigers are 27-12 in games when their starter goes 6+ innings and allows 1 or less earned run. That's the second worst in Major League Baseball. I'd love to see the team that's worse than Detroit doing that. Just think about that for a minute. You allow 1 run in 6+ innings. And you're 27-12. You should be like 35-5. Part of that's on the pitching. Part of that is on 1-0 games. I get that. But a good portion of that to me is how that bullpen is handled. I'm sorry. A.J. Hinch you can talk about, 39 times. 39 times. The starters have gone 6+ innings, giving up 1 run or less. That is the best in Major League Baseball. 39 games they've done that. And we're below 500. That tells you all you need to know about the 2026 Detroit Tigers. Detroit has now blown 28 saves. Second worst in Major League Baseball. I don't know who the worst is. I don't really care. But, oh, my God, Breathe, everybody. Let's take a deep breath. We're all in this together, right? A day off couldn't have come at a better time for the Tigers. We're going to talk about the rotation for the weekend against Kansas City on our show tomorrow. So, not even going to think about it. This is a day to decompress after that crushing, embarrassing, humiliating loss yesterday that I put squarely on Kenley Jansen and, more importantly, on A.J. Hinch. Absolutely, absolutely unacceptable. All right, let's talk about a couple of good things. Let's sandwich in a couple of good things. How about a performance that you might not know about of one of our pitchers down on the farm? Now, we keep talking about how River Ryan is getting closer and closer to returning, and he is indeed. It still looks like he's going to be back towards the end of August. One of the prizes that we got in that trade with Tarek Skubal, who I still have, I'm still high on. I think he's going to be a good asset with the Tigers in the rotation next year. But how about Andrew Sears? Yesterday, here's his outing in Toledo. 5 innings, 0 hits, no runs allowed, 2 walks, 7 Ks. Now, this year in Major League Baseball, or I'm sorry, this year in the minor leagues for him at both Erie and Toledo, 44.2 innings pitched, 10 ERA, 10 earned runs, 7 starts, 11 games. His ERA is 2.13. His WHIP is 1.18. Now, I apologize if you hear the dogs barking in the background. That's kind of where our bullpen's going, to the dogs, right? So, anyways, here's something kind of encouraging for the Tigers. Another arm in the bullpen, doing great. He's 23 years old, left-handed pitcher. Now, again, we've talked about this in the early part of the year. Now, I know this is starting to sway towards the negative, but the one stat that I look at that's alarming, he's had 7 starts, and he's been in 11 games, all right? So let's say that he pitched in a couple innings in those other games. One of those games, this last one, he didn't start, where he pitched the 5 innings. It was long relief. When he starts his 7 games, he started 7 games all in Erie. He's thrown 35 innings in Erie with 7 starts. That's the one thing I don't understand, again, about our pitching staff. And again, maybe this is Major League Baseball at the minor league level. You don't have your starters go more than 6 innings. But when he's been in, he's been very, very good for the Tigers. So again, let's go over Andrew Sears, 44.2 innings pitched in the minor leagues this year. He's appeared in 2 games in Toledo, hasn't given up a run in Toledo in 9.2 innings. In those 44.2 innings overall, his ERA is 2.13 and his WHIP is 1.08. His minor league stats in his career, his ERA is like 2.35 and his WHIP is like 1.12. So there's an arm, there's a name to keep an eye on down in the farm, that being Andrew Sears. And let's talk about something really cool. Did you see what Bryce Rainier did or is doing at West Michigan? He's got a major league record that's only been done one other time, and this was at the major league level. He has hit in 4 consecutive games a first-inning home run. The only other person to do that in the history of baseball was Brady Anderson when he was with the Orioles back in 1996. How cool is that? Now, Rainier started out down in Lakeland, kind of scuffled a little bit, then got hot. Now he's at West Michigan, and he's tearing the cover off the ball. So a couple of cool things. I thought we would kind of shed some positive light here on the Tigers after such a crushing game yesterday, just such a disappointing series in Pittsburgh. All right, a couple of other updates. We talked about it with River Ryan. It looks like that he's going to get called up towards the end of August. They really like his velocity thrown off the mound. I guess you could see maybe a rehab start or 2 down in Toledo. Now, I don't know what to make of this with Jack Flaherty. They say it's promising that he could be up in September, but he has yet to start. He's going to start throwing off the mound today. I mean, I don't know about you, but that to me isn't promising yet. If he's just throwing off the mound, that means he's not thrown a bullpen session yet. He hasn't thrown to live hitting yet. He hasn't done any rehab starts. I just find it hard to believe that they're not going to have Flaherty throw at least 1 or 2 rehab stints, either in Toledo or Lakeland or Erie or wherever. They're saying September 1st is when he could be back with Detroit. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just that's less than 2 weeks away. We need him in the rotation, obviously, if we want to have a chance. So I don't know. And I think we broke the news yesterday. Kerry Carpenter, his rehab stint has been halted. He's been told to rest. His plantar fasciitis still hasn't gotten any better. I don't know if you've ever had it. I've had it. It's painful. I worked through it, my quote-unquote day job before I retired a few years ago, and I'll tell you what, it was difficult. I couldn't plant my foot when I was, I used to haul cases of pop for a living, with a 2-wheeler, and I'll tell you, I couldn't plant my foot towards the end. It hurt so darn bad. So I get it. So one wonders when he's going to be back up in Detroit. And they're saying Wencel Perez could be back by the end of the week or by the end of the month. And it sounds like Riley Green will be back during the homestand next week, either against Tampa Bay or against the Dodgers. So some notes from down on the farm, and also just some cool stuff, with Rainier and with Sears. So, some positive in this gloomy Thursday, this gloomy day after that 3-game set against Pittsburgh. All right, a reminder, everybody, of our brand new partner here on Tigers Daily. That's Kalshi, Kalshi. When you download the Kalshi app, use the promo code FanArchBaseball, and you'll get $10 off of your purchase or off of your first trade, or you'll get $10, I should say, when you trade your first trade of $10. It's that simple. So it's free money. Kalshi. And remember, when you're trading, you're not trading against the house. You're trading against your peers. So you're all making your speculations on if the Tigers will win or whoever you want to bet on or place a trade on. That's Kalshi. So let's say you place a trade on the Tigers tomorrow against Kansas City, and your numbers, your return on investment is high. You can trade out of it and take your money and run. It's that simple. You don't have to wait till the game's over. That's the beauty of Kalshi. So again, download the Kalshi app. Use the promo code FanArchBaseball. And when you trade your first $10, you get $10 back. Kalshi. The baseball season is in the dog days, but it's getting down to the stretch drive. September's right around the corner. You can trade every game on Kalshi. All right. Like I said, at the beginning of the broadcast, I said we're not going to talk about the weekend set until tomorrow. This is kind of a reset day for us. So let's take a look. What I thought we would do, I heard this argument yesterday on the radio, and I thought let's talk about it. Who are your MVPs this year in Major League Baseball? In the American League, mine is going to be Yordan Alvarez. He's really chasing that triple crown, batting average, home runs, and RBIs. He's right up there amongst the leaders. He's leading in RBIs, he's leading in batting average, and he's got a 1 home run lead with 37 home runs. Now, again, there are only 2 players in Major League Baseball right now over 300 in a batting, or 3 players, I beg your pardon, over 300 as far as batting average in the American League. Yordan Alvarez is at 317. Chandler Simpson and Yandy Diaz, they're both with Tampa Bay, and they're at 309 and 306. So, again, right now, to me, it's a no-brainer that Yordan Alvarez is the MVP in the American League. He's keeping he's keeping Houston relevant and on top in the American League. So, to me, it's Yordan Alvarez in the American League as the MVP. Now, in the National League, it's a lot more interesting. It's down to 2 players. There's no doubt about it. You've got Shohei Ohtani. He's the sentimental choice, if you will. He's probably the worldwide choice. And, I think he's done well at the plate. His batting average is a little bit better than Pete Crow Armstrong from the Chicago Cubs. The home runs are about the same. But it's going to come down to Pete Crow Armstrong, to me, if he's not one of the best defensive players in Major League Baseball, he's got to be in the top 2. His defensive plays, his stolen bases, his second straight year of 30-30 for home runs and stolen bases. Heck, Pete Crow Armstrong right now is on pace to have more stolen bases. He'll probably have more than the Tigers as a team have for the whole year. Now, I know Shohei Ohtani's a pitcher. I get it. He's a quote-unquote dual threat, but he hasn't pitched since late June. So, and that's not doing something every day. Now, it's a great argument to have, but I'd love to see what you think of those 2. Who do you think should be the MVP in the National League? It's great conversation, and points were brought up both ways. Now, again, when it comes down to it, who's going to get the vote? Now, Shohei's going to have the advantage. As crazy as it sounds, Chicago's a major market. But I think Shohei's going to get that sentimental vote from writers on the West Coast or even the East Coast that vote that don't even watch the games. Some of the writers that are grandfathered in that have that MVP vote. But I think, in my opinion, it should go to Pete Crow Armstrong. Now, I could do without the bat flips, but that's just me. I don't like the bat flips to begin with. If I was a pitcher and someone did that to me, they'd get one in the wallet the next time up. But that's just me. I got to get off my rocking chair and get off my lawn, whatever. But I think Pete Crow Armstrong is the most valuable player to his team. He's more valuable to the Cubs than Shohei is to the Dodgers. The Dodgers have more studs on their team. And what did I read? That if Pete Crow Armstrong doesn't get a hit in the games the Cubs play, that he plays with the Cubs, they only win like 34% of the time. And so, to me, it's Pete Crow Armstrong. But I'd love to hear what you have to say on that. Who's your MVPs in the American League and the National League? All right, let's take a look at the standings now in Major League Baseball as we head into the weekend with Kansas City on tap starting on Friday. In the American League in the East, Tampa now still with a 5-game lead over the Yankees. The Red Sox lost again yesterday. They're 8.5 back. In the Central, the White Sox, they won, and so did the Twins. The Twins now just 4 games back. The Guardians and the Tigers both lost, so we're both 5.5 back. And in the West, Houston, they won again, or they won yesterday. Texas lost, so their lead is now 2 over the Rangers. Houston now is above 500. In the National League, the Braves lost, the Phillies won. The Phillies have won 6 straight. They're now 4.5 back, trying to catch the Braves for the top spot in the National League. The Brewers, they lost, and the Cubs lost, and the Cardinals lost. So the Cubs now still trail the Brewers by 4.5. And in the West, the Dodgers won, and the Padres lost. So that lead is now up to 9 over the Padres for the Dodgers. Now, the stat of most importance right now in the American League for the Tigers, and that's the wild card stat. The Yankees and the Red Sox both have the top 2 spots. They're not going anywhere. They're probably going to have the top 2 wild card spots. The third one, today's wild card leader of choice is the Minnesota Twins. There are 2 games under 500 with the top wild card spot in the American League, or the third final wild card spot in the American League. Rangers are a half game back. The Blue Jays are a game back. The Guardians, the Orioles, and the Tigers are all just a game and a half back. And that's the thing. As pathetic, as annoying, as frustrating, as the Tigers' bullpen is, and how poor that they played, they're still just a game and a half out of the wild card. And you got to keep that in the back of your mind. I know it's wishful thinking at this point. Nobody probably today thinks the Tigers have a snowball's chance in hell of making the playoffs. They still got a 14.9% chance in a game and a half out of the wild card. And then the Seattle Mariners are 2.5 back. Detroit's going into Kansas City, by the way. They've won 4 straight. They're only 9 games out of a wild card. I know that's pretty far-fetched. And finally, in the National League, real quick, the Phillies now 2 games up in the second spot for the wild card. The Padres have the third and final wild card spot, 1 up on the Diamondbacks, 3 up on the Cardinals, and 4 up on the Marlins. Okay, taking a look at a couple of more numbers here. We talked about it. Detroit, 12 and 22 in one-run games. Again, when you're winning, you win those one-run games. The last 2 years combined, I think they're 28 to 30 games above 500. That's one of the differences right there. Place part of that blame on the hitting. Obviously, most of it goes to the bullpen, and again, I give it to A.J. Hinch. Yesterday, I don't know, entrenched my lack of faith in A.J. Hinch, the way he handles the bullpen. I'm sorry, I don't like it. Not right now. All right, we've talked about it all year. The benchmark to get into the playoffs. Detroit, 5 games under 500. To get to 85 and 77, they've got to go 24 and 11 the rest of the way. That's starting to look like a tall task, especially with Tampa and the Dodgers coming to town next week. They better get a broom out somehow. They've got to do something to Kansas City this weekend, and you know what I'm talking about. But here's the deal. We thought that 83 and 79 may not get the Tigers into the playoffs. I'm telling you, if they can get to that, there's a pretty doggone good chance they might sneak in there, because right now 2 games below 500 is getting you into the playoffs. Detroit would have to go 22 and 13 to get to 83 and 79. And then I'm just going to throw this in there just for kicks and giggles. 81 and 81 might get you into the playoffs in the American League. And they would have to go 20 and 15. So I know, wishful thinking, what can I say? But we've got to try to get somewhat of a positive look on this. So let's go to TLC PRC. We'll go through some of the comments yesterday. Our relief pitching is so bad there is no way we're going to make the playoffs. I think our starters are pressing too hard to be perfect, that they know that they can get to the 7th or 8th, they may have a chance to win. You're right. They might be pressing. And here's the other thing, and I talked about this the other day, or probably about a week or so ago. With the Tigers, when they get to the 7th and 8th inning, the hitters look like they're pressing. Because it looks like they changed their approach, like they're all swinging for the fences. Is it just me, or does it look like that to you? Timothy Smith, 83. Sorry, Captain Lou. I'll still watch, but have no excitement for the Tigers, except when it comes to all the promising kids. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I like that approach. I can't disagree with that philosophy. I still think there's a sliver of a chance they make it. I'm trying to hold on to hope, but I agree. I think the future is bright. But with our luck, I was on another podcast last night. With our luck, there will be no season next year, just when we've got the youngsters rounding into shape. And Wolfguard 60. I give them a 5% chance to make the playoffs. Too many outs in the lineup, and the BP is a total embarrassment, that being the bullpen. We have a good core of position players and a few more in the minors that look like they'll be here soon. So tired of watching Baez, Torkelson swing at utter garbage every game and not make any adjustments. Baez, he's been better. But remember when he first came to the Tigers, how his plate discipline was so bad? And speaking of Javi Baez, what do you think the Mets are thinking right now? You know who they traded Pete Crow Armstrong for to Chicago? It's right, Javi Baez. So, yeah. And finally, Rockin' Roy, 58. Great to see him back in the comment section. Trade the entire BP for a bag of popcorn. It's beyond pathetic. Players play and coaches coach, but the coaching staff is a joke. The hitting coach and pitching coach can be included in that trade for a bag of popcorn. Yeah, let's throw in a couple of hot dogs or maybe a slice of pizza, right? Why not? Yeah, I can't argue with that as well. All right, everybody. Brighter days are ahead for us. Don't worry. Let's put that disaster behind us. 35 games to go for the Tigers. Let's see what they've got. We'll talk more about the weekend set with the Kansas City Royals tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, everybody, here on Tigers Daily. Again, a reminder, if you haven't done it already, we'd love to have you hit the subscribe button. Be a part of the Tigers Daily family. Let's, again, prove to everybody that we are the most passionate fan base in all of professional sports. That is the Detroit Tiger fan base. Until tomorrow, Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. So long.